How are we doing, Bulls Nation? I know it's been a while since I've posted a video. I know the content has been pretty light throughout this month, really, given there hasn't been much going on with the Bulls or the NBA in general. Hope you all had a great time at Bulls Fest for those that attended. I wasn't able to make it due to a wedding I had to attend, but I saw a lot of pictures and posts from the Bulls social media account, and it looked like a great time. But anyway, as I was getting back into discussing the Bulls and what I wanted to talk about, as we have about another month away from training camp, and a lot of it centers around what I expected this team going into the season. In my last video, I talked about some of the things that intrigued me the most going into this year, one of those being Isaac Okoro and how he's going to fit in with this team. But of course, I think what we're all excited about most for the 25-26 season, above everything else, is what are we going to see from Matas Buzelis this season? A kid that will just be turning 21 by the start of the year, a player who didn't get much run to start his rookie year, but then really started to show great strides in his development towards the end of the season when he finally had a consistent role in the Bulls rotation and looked like he could be a guy the Bulls could really work with and build with for the future. And of course, as Matas goes into his second season, we would obviously expect more from him than what we saw in his rookie year, right? Especially now that the expectation is he'll be getting starting level minutes from the get-go. Naturally, we'd like to see some progression from any player from year to year. But at the same time, I do think there is a balance in what is reasonable to expect from Matas in his sophomore season, rather than some of these lofty expectations I've seen from some fans that are honestly putting unnecessary pressure for a 20-year-old to be the savior of this franchise in just his second year. Now, I've been seeing all over the socials this offseason from Bulls fans and what they envision from Matas this year. I've seen comments in my hot takes videos about how he's going to average 20 and 7 and be the Bulls' clear best player next year. Some saying he's going to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award. And look, it's not even just fans. Like, you even have some members of the media thinking this kid can be an all-star next season. Kendall Gill said he has the ability to be an all-star next year. Last season, everyone remembers his comments that he made about how the Bulls already have their own Cooper Flag and Matas Buzelis. And look, I love Kendall Gill. I've had him on the channel before, obviously a great former basketball player, analyst at CHSN, and I love the confidence he has in Matas' abilities. And yes, I agree, he has the potential to be a special player in this league, but to think he's suddenly going to break out into an all-star in his second year when the Bulls, for one, aren't really positioned to win a lot of games, not saying they can't exceed expectations, but they're not going to be a 50-win team or even a 45-win team for that matter. They're most likely not even going to finish with a winning record. And being one of the best players on a winning team is a big factor in determining a player's all-star candidacy. Whether it's fair or not, that's just how it is. But more importantly, you also have to understand, Matas is coming off a season in which he really didn't start getting adequate playing time until about the 50th game of the year. That's when he got his first start and started for the remainder of the season. It was just before the Bulls traded Zach LaVine and right before the All-Star break. Prior to that game, Matas was averaging about 14 minutes per game and 6 points. Not a lot of playing time, and when he was playing, not a lot of usage either, as he was primarily playing off the ball. Now, I'd probably say, well, sure, but look at what he did post All-Star break. He showcased what he can do if given the playing time, if he's being used properly, where he's given more opportunities to have the ball in his hands and create his own shot. If he's going to get that kind of playing time, if the Bulls are going to prioritize his development, then who's to say he can't break out next year? Well, just to temper expectations a bit, post All-Star break, Matas was considerably better than the first half of the year. He went from averaging 6.4 points per game to 13, 2.8 rebounds to 4.8, bringing his true shooting percentage up from 55% to 58%, and going from being a minus 3.1 in box plus minus to a plus 1.2. All of that is substantial and absolutely something Bulls fans should be excited about. I don't care if it's March or April basketball, when a rookie makes that kind of leap from the start of the season to the end of it is impressive, especially for a player as young as he is and such a raw prospect coming into the league. Here's the thing though, as great of a leap as that was, even if you just take the last 30 games of the season, when he finally started getting consistent minutes, it is very, very hard to go from averaging 13 points per game to 22 or 23. From being a role player on an average team, a player that still has a lot of work to do on his game when it comes to his shot, his decision-making in the open floor, his ability to box out, his man and crash the boards with his slender frame, to go from that to an all-star in a single season is a massive stretch. I'm not saying it's impossible. This isn't like saying Dalen Terry is suddenly going to break out into an all-star. That is impossible, but it is so unlikely, and it's really not fair to put that kind of pressure on Matas, where it went from, well, I hope he's a nice player that can be a strong rotational piece when the Bulls first drafted him, to all-star season or bust in his second year. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but you get my point. Matas, as good as he is, as insane of an athlete as he is, the confidence he possesses, the desire to want to win, to get better, his work ethic, all of it. He has all the tools to eventually become a star in this league. Of all the players on the Bulls roster, I would say he has the strongest likelihood of one day becoming an all-star, but people have to remember, he's still a pretty raw player, a player that is going to take a little more time to develop than some of these generational prospects we've seen in the past come into the league. And then you also have to understand, the Bulls still have guys who are going to be the focal points on offense, namely Josh Giddey and Coby White. As long as those two remain with the team next season, you're not going to see Matas' usage increase that much. Yes, it will be more. At least I sure as hell hope it goes up, given the Bulls absolutely need to prioritize his touches, but in order for Matas to even come close to averaging 20 plus points per game next season, you really would need to see his usage be between 23 and 25%. Last season post All-Star break, not for the year, but just post All-Star break, his usage was 19.6%. With Giddey and Coby in the backcourt, I'm not even mentioning Vucevic here, who I do think will be with the team to start the season, there is just no way Matas is going to get his usage up to that level. Now, you could say, well, this is why the Bulls should trade Coby, so that guys like Matas and Senge can be given more minutes and more opportunities to develop, but based on what we're hearing around the league, the Bulls have turned away offers on trading Coby White and want him around long term. Now, anything can change quickly in this league. All it takes is a compelling offer, a compelling trade offer for the Bulls to pounce on it. But my point in all this is that even though I do think we will see a leap from Matas this season, he will be given more consistent minutes. The Bulls will prioritize his development, but he's not going to have the kind of opportunity to truly break out into a star in just his second season. He's just not there yet. The roster at this point in time isn't even conducive for him to get there yet. For me, my expectations of Matas going into the season is to assert himself as a more reliable option on offense. I think he can average between 15 and 16 points per game. That is a huge win for the Bulls. If he can up his rebounds to say 6 or 7 a game, particularly crashing the offensive glass for second chance points, using his timing and leaping ability to get those boards is key. I would love to see Matas get to the free throw line more and use his athleticism to penetrate inside, and I would love to see him over the course of the season establish himself as a key to this team's offense, a guy they can go to as an option down the stretch and be more physical in those big moments when his team needs it the most. If we see that from Matas, that's a big win and more realistic in terms of our expectations of him going into the season than thinking he's going to be the most improved player of the year in the entire league or being selected as an all-star in the second year of his career. But I would love to hear what you guys think, though. You let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.